Here we go. Once again.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
All right.
I'm fine. How's the boys?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Great. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I think,
Just relax, man. Relax.
I
I
tell
told
you
you
that all
that.
the
Yeah,
time.
I told him when he came here last time. Make sure he relax.
every like,
So everybody telling you that?
yeah, it's a habit. But I found the wrong thing. Here it is. And this one magazine is called Origin of Life: The 5 Questions Worth Asking.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows you some. It's a scientific thing that they gave to us today.
You know you done talk to me. We already broke the ice. You know you
Yeah,
can
I
talk
know.
to me. Like, you know you can talk to me. Relax.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty neat about all like the science things, because we had a video, a DVD that came out a few years back, and it talked about what happens if the Earth was that's like an inch away from the sun. If the Earth, imagine if the Earth was just about an inch away from the sun, then temperatures would plummet. It'll probably
If the Earth was an inch away from the sun, temperatures would plummet.
well, because the farther you get away from the sun, things get colder.
Right.
And it's more in summer, then that's when the Earth is closest to the sun.
That's correct.
Now imagine if the Earth was off, like the Earth axis was off, just by.
Right.
Like,
I get where you're going. Yeah. I get where, you're saying. I thought you meant if the Earth was an inch from the sun, not you mean an inch off its orbit.
Yes.
Okay, got you. And you're getting towards you're coming. I'm assuming you're hinting at the miracle of how this can't be coincidental. Is what you're hinting at.
Yeah. Because people
Perfect orbit circling around.
And people
the sun.
It came from a Big Bang theory. And
right, which goes against science. Because why?
Because God made the heavens and the earth.
But why does it? First of all, why does it not make sense? Something can't come from nothing. First of all, that's science in itself. Something can't come from nothing, and the fact that the Big Bang is true though, with the Big Bang being B and it was. That was the Big Bang. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no one's actually very certain about the Big Bang theory, honestly.
No, it's scientifically proven, but the Big Bang came from God Himself. Mm-hmm. When He said "be" and it was.
But the most interesting one I found was this one talking about evolution.
Yeah, which that was proven wrong even by Darwin himself, because where's the missing link?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because I watched the Science Channel more than once in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like, why am I watching this?
Yeah. But that's what they'd like you to think, that you come from an ape. There's no missing link.
No.
It's between the ape and the man. The ape is still around, though.
Of course.
If there's evolution, why is there still an ape around?
Exactly.
But I think you'll like this one very much.
Oh yeah.
And I think your kids will enjoy it too, because who doesn't like animals and dinosaurs and stuff? Or
Dinosaurs.
Well, I haven't read over this today. Honestly.
You came here unprepared? You didn't read over it?
Oh, we did.
And we just got through talking about that?
Yes, we did. He told me about it. 'Cause I know about science, but I didn't read over because we just got it today.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just got off the desk today.
Mm-hmm.
And did you get to read the Bible we teach book?
Yeah, I skimmed through both of them, like I was, talking to her about it, and like I said, I'm very interested in prophecy, so to speak, and about the whole prophecy of Daniel.
Of course.
She was talking about the prophecy of Daniel.
Of Daniel?
Yeah, of Daniel. With the statue.
Okay.
With,
yeah, that is a good topic.
With everything, and I asked her, as far as what you guys believe, as far as where we at
in the test of time,
in the test of time.
in that statue.
And she broke it down to me.
Yeah.
She showed it at that point, which I thought was pretty cool as far as that goes.
Now, did you understand what she said? Because that's a very complicated topic right there.
I understood what she was saying. I got my own. I don't know
Interpretation.
if they told you.
Yeah,
we had a long conversation when
Okay.
when they were here last time.
Okay.
And I study on a lot on eschatology.
Okay.
And the coming of the Messiah and
Okay.
the Antichrist and
Do you mind me asking exactly what your beliefs are? When you say,
what is my belief?
yeah, when you say the coming of Messiah and the prophecies and things and all that, you no doubt believe that there's a God.
That's correct.
Okay, you believe that there's a Son of God.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe so? Okay,
No, just like I told her, I don't believe. And I explained that to her and him about
Yeah,
the whole son thing,
Okay.
which it's unbefitting of God to have a child. First of all,
Mhm.
it's not befitting of God to have children. And if He does have a child, who is the mother?
Who's the mother?
Who is the mother of God's child? Because when you get to the point where you're saying, and this is where I get into the whole Greco-Roman thing, which obviously Christianity, as according to the Pauline doctrine, St. Paul was a Roman, as you know. He was a Roman citizen. You know, the Romans and the Greeks worship many gods.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So the Greco-Roman influence has invaded Christianity through Paul the apostle, who was never an apostle in the first place. He made himself an apostle. So with that being said, there's a term called anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is assigning man-like qualities to a god. And this is what the Greeks and the Romans do when Zeus, all these other gods came to earth and had sex with women. So with that being said, when you get into gods having children, it directly correlates with Greco religion, as far as to say that God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the originator of the heavens and the earth, has a child. And furthermore, was it John 3:16? Only begotten son? Begotten in itself, as I explained to, I don't know if she's here later.
No, Sister Turner.
Just Turner, she didn't come in today.
The word begotten in itself means you have to physically have sex with someone. You know, to begot, I've begotten 4 children. I have 4 kids. So me, I've begotten 4 children. So to say that God, which this is nowhere in the Old Testament also, God begot a son, who is the mother? Why does God ordain or make it fit for humans to have a wife, but He doesn't have a wife? You see what I'm saying? This is completely beneath God.
Does He have to have a wife?
He has to have a wife, or He has to have a mother. Therefore, why would a God have a son? You see what I'm saying? That's what humans have. Humans have children. Gods don't have children. So in order to have a son, you have to have a mother and or a wife. So how can you say that God has a son when Jesus Himself, as I told you and the other lady here, Jesus Himself never said this particular, that He was God or the Son of God or God Himself. Which is where people.
I have to disagree with that.
Well, she didn't show me, and nobody's ever shown me a verse in the Bible
where Jesus said, "This is my Father." Is that what you're talking about?
The Father, as I explained, the Father in itself, you got to understand. What we read nowadays has been translated, as you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been translated Greek,
yes,
Aramaic,
yes,
and Latin, and all these other things. So the fact of the notion of the Father. God refers, even in the Old Testament, He refers to Israel, people of Israel, during the times of the Pharaoh. The children of Israel is His firstborn. He refers to David, and David refers to himself in Psalms as the Son of God. David is the Son of God. David was also the Messiah, as you know, which Messiah means anointed. Messiah.
You mind showing me that? You know what scripture?
Do I mind showing you what? The brother has it right here. Where David is referred to as the Son of God.
As the Son of God?
He is.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not doubting you.
Yeah.
This is for my purpose.
Furthermore, just like I was telling you, remember what I mentioned to you about during Jesus being captured during Passover?
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
Remember what I said? Who was the other person?
Just Iscariot?
No.
Oh, wrong one.
Who was the other guy? You know, it was Jewish custom during Passover to release a prisoner. You remember that part? When Pontius Pilate asked the Jews, who do they want, and what did they say?
I couldn't find. He was like,
Please tell me.
Barabbas. You remember that name, Barabbas?
Barabbas.
Yeah.
Does the Bible speak on Barabbas?
It sure does.
What
The
is-
New
what-
Testament.
what is-
Barabbas was a thief and a murderer, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And when Pontius Pilate, it was Jewish custom during Passover,
Mhm.
when Jesus was arrested and
Mhm.
captured,
Mhm.
it was Jewish custom during Passover to release a prisoner.
Okay.
So when he asked the mob, as you want to call it,
Mhm.
these people, and he said, you know, they had a choice to release these two.
Yeah.
Jesus, you had Jesus Christ
Mhm.
there
Uh-huh.
also. And, you know, as we know, Jesus Christ means anointed
Mhm.
in Greek.
Mhm.
Christ is Messiah in
Mhm.
Greek.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you had Jesus the Messiah,
Mhm.
and you had Barabbas.
Mhm.
What did I tell you what Barabbas translates to in Hebrew? I know you remember this.
I was
I
kind
know
of
you
lost
remember
in the conversation.
Please
Yes.
tell me.
Barabbas, well, first of all, what was Barabbas' first name?
That was his first name.
You weren't paying attention.
You
You
gotta do your
I was-
research. Pat, you gotta do your research. Well,
Bar-
I'm curious because I want
Barabbas' first name was Jesus, right?
Right.
Jesus was a very common name, as you know. Jesus is obviously an anglicized form of Jesus, which is Italian, aka Roman, derived from Greek Zeus, Zeus. So Yeshua, as you probably have heard this name, Yeshua, in Hebrew, which is another name for Joshua, or Yehoshua, because there's no J in the Hebrew alphabet during that time. So all the, just like John, my name is John. So my name in Hebrew is actually Johanna, because John wasn't around, you know. So John the Baptist was actually Johanna, and just like Jesus is Yeshua, John the Baptist being the first cousin of Jesus. So Jesus, Barabbas' first name was Jesus, Yeshua.
What's your point?
My point that I'm getting at is you have two of these men that Pontius Pilate is willing to set free. If you remember, what does Barabbas translate to?
I don't think I
Barabbas translates to son of the Father.
Okay.
So you have Jesus, son of the Father, and you have Jesus the Messiah. Two men. Did anybody know what Jesus looked like, first of all?
Jesus. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's preached
Who-
to many people. He
but
preached to crowds.
Who could tell? Why did they need to use Judas Iscariot then, if everybody knew what he looked like? Just like I told you, if I had 12 Middle Eastern men lined up against this wall right here, and I named every one of them, and I said, hey man, I need you to run to Walmart real quick. You know, pick me up some handcuffs or something like that. Or pick me up some bread or some olive oil or something crazy like that. And I said, hey man, I didn't want it, Jesus wanted it. Would you be able to pick Jesus out of all 12 of those men that are up against that wall right there?
No.
You wouldn't, would you? So the next question I asked you, if you were one of the disciples, would you be willing to give your life for Jesus?
Yes, I would.
So why is it that we're told, for example, because you got all these other prophets, you got obviously Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, willing, his disciples, his companions, willing to kill for him, willing to die for him. You mean to tell me a man who y'all believe is the Son of God performed all these miracles, blind, sick, the lame, the lepers? You mean to tell me these men who traveled with him all over Israel, as it's known now, would not die for this man and would not give their life for this man?
Actually, there's a few instances in the Bible where let's see, Paul was almost closely stoned to death.
Paul?
Was closely stoned to death.
We can't count Paul though, because Paul was rejected. If you read the New Testament, Paul was rejected by the disciples.
But
When he came with this new doctrine, he was completely rejected. They said, "Get away from You never even knew Jesus. How do you claim on the road to Damascus that you were anointed by Jesus when you were blinded, when you saw him on the road to Damascus on your way to persecute Jews, or excuse me, Christians, you were on your way to persecute Christians, that you were anointed by a vision of the Messiah in the sky, which made you the 12th apostle, so to speak.
But then also the John the Baptizer was killed.
John the Baptist was killed because of he was accusing a man of adultery.
No, actually,
King Herod.
It was actually the king's birthday, and he asked.
You gotta be confident, brother. Spit it out. Spit it out. You know it. You know it. Be confident.
Yeah, he asked a dancer what she want from him, and she asked her mother, and she said the head of John the Baptizer.
Right. But why did she want the head of? Why did she want his head?
But that does count as him dying for Jesus, and there's also there's also two more disciples that got stoned to death. What?
They all were killed eventually, whether it be in Rome or somewhere else. They all were, tracked down and wiped out.
But yet,
they
still died for Jesus. They still died for Jehovah too.
You get, when I say die for Jesus, I mean while the man was still alive. You got people dying for Jesus now in the name of war. That's too late though, But I'm saying as far as you sacrificing your life for that man, this man who's supposed to be the Son of God, the Alpha and the Omega. That's what I mean by die for him. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Would you die for him? That's the question. Would you die for this man? Would you be willing to put your life on the line to save this man who brought all this message, who brought this love, all this stuff, who's from God? One of the greatest gifts from God coming to earth in the flesh, the greatest miracle. That's just like when he returns back.
Well, even Jesus Christ said himself, which he prophesied that, I think it was Peter he was talking to, that he knew that nobody was going to stand up for him, during his last days, during that last night. He knew that nobody was going to protect him. And he even said that to Peter. He's like, a crow is going to crow 3 times before you,
right?
And so he realized that nobody was going
to,
yeah. So he recognized that nobody's going to stand up for him for the simple fact that they didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have knowledge of God and his purposes. And that's why Jesus was there. That's why he was in that position, because he wanted to give his disciples that knowledge. He wanted to go deep into their heart,
But wasn't it Peter that chopped off the soldier's head?
It was Peter.
So why would he not be bold? He's emboldened at that point to fight a Roman soldier. Mm-hmm. But at the point, as I guess what you're getting at is, when he does deny him, when he's accused, to say, hey, he was with this man, and he said, I don't know who that man is. But the fact that I'm just trying to open up dialogue for some thought.
Definitely.
If this man, when he does come back, as they rejected him then, I think I brought it. I told it to you guys.
You did.
Would people accept this man who looks Middle Eastern, long beard, how he's in Revelations, even if he looks like that, like you, excuse me, if he looks like you, this man from Revelations that doesn't speak English. I'm just saying.
So you're saying would people accept him?
Would they accept him? That's the thing. People are so anxious. They talk about Jesus this, Jesus that. But if this man came back, he's not going to come back to America, so to speak. People make it.
Everything was set.
People want to anglicize Jesus. They want to make Jesus American so bad.
They do.
This is a Middle Eastern man during that period who didn't speak English.
No.
So if he comes back, and not to say he won't be able to speak English, but I don't think his priority is to speak English. When he comes back, his priority is to defeat the Antichrist and restore peace upon this earth. So all I'm saying is, this man never said he was God. This man, as far as you saying the Son, he referred to him as the Father. There's obviously, the way biblical structure is set up as far as referring to someone as the Father. The only way to heaven or the only way to paradise is through the Father. And that's through me. I'm the way, the truth, and the light.
I'm trying to remember.
Moses was the way, the truth, and the light. Every prophet who came before him was the way, the truth, and the light. Who would know God except through the prophets?
Why?
And the messengers.
Why do you think Jesus Christ came down to the earth?
Remember I explained this to you? About the whole AT&T or company thing? I'll run it down to you real quick.
Okay, yeah, right? Real quick, because...
We work for a company, right? Let's say I work for Pepsi, right? You two gentlemen. I work for Pepsi. Y'all showing up as representatives at my door right now, working for Pepsi. Okay. Let's just say it's just you. No, let's just say it's just you. You work for Pepsi. I work for Pepsi, right? Let's say Pepsi is, I don't know where the headquarters is at. It's either here in Florida or somewhere. Let's say it's Florida is the headquarters. Okay. Boss man said, what's your name again?
Patrick.
Patrick. Boss man says, hey Patrick, John, I need you to go down to Latson. John is not following the rules. He's doing whatever he wants to do. He's not following company policy and standard operating procedures. He's not doing anything that I'm telling him to do. He's just cutting up. He's just not following the rules. I need you to go down there because I'm not going to fire him yet because he was a good employee once upon a time. I'm not going to fire him yet. I need you to go down there, talk to him, straighten him out, you know, and we go from there. Patrick says, okay, no problem, boss man. I'll knock it out. So you go. You come here several times. You keep telling me what I need to do to straighten up. I don't want to straighten. I'm like, man, who are you? Matter of fact, I don't even think you work for the boss, man. You know, even though I see your ID badge and all this stuff, and you showing up in a company car, I don't think you work for the boss, man. Matter of fact, I like what I'm doing here. You're just trying to disrupt what I got going on here. Matter of fact, you can tell whoever and the boss man, I don't even think you work for him. So I just go on about my business. You show up to my house the next day. I kill you for talking this mess. Right? So word gets back to the boss man that I killed you. So once the boss man finds out, he's overjoyed and he's happy. And not only that, he forgives me and tells me carry on. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I think we had this conversation already. And I'm just putting this not completely through, but does that make any sense? And not only that, you forgive me for everything that I've done in the meanwhile. You did a good job, you know, trying to tell him what he needs to do, but the boss man, you know, and you're like the stellar employee. The boss man says, you did a good job, Patrick. Tell John I forgive him. And we just go on like nothing happened.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Now, if you're talking to a representative of your company, if I was talking to my secretary, then yeah, I would expect my secretary to go and say, okay, well, my boss said this or said that. And see, that's where a lot of people in the world, you're not the only one. It's a lot of people that feel that way, that people worship Jesus Christ. A lot of people think Jesus Christ is the Lord. Right. When actuality, Jesus Christ is the messenger. He's the so-called secretary that delivers the message.
That's correct.
Because no one has actually spoken with God. Nobody has actually conversated with God, you know, besides through prayer. And so he is the mediator.
That's right.
He is the mediator. And being the mediator, you know why he's the mediator? You know, there's scripture in the Bible where it says that Jesus Christ is God's master worker. There's scriptures in the Bible where it says that he is the Michael, things like that.
Yeah. Right.
He's the firstborn, and you know, and I don't have the definition of begotten, but the last time I thought I thought the definition of begotten was meant the first, you know, the first of. You know, and I don't know the definition right offhand, and it sounds like you got a different definition, so I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to have to look up the word. But when the last time I remember, the word begotten means the first. Was Jesus Christ was the firstborn. You know, it's the first of God's creations. And through Jesus Christ, he created everything else. You know, he created the heavens and the earth.
Well, where was this? Is this in the Old Testament?
Which one you talking about?
What you're saying, Jesus Christ is the firstborn. Everybody tries to link that. There was the word was the first thing. But
that's another one.
But where does it say Jesus Christ in the Old Testament?
Was it firstborn?
No, just Jesus Christ. Period. You know.
Well,
all of this Jesus Christ.
Well, and see, in the Old Testament, I'm gonna have to look. I'm sure it's in there. The Old Testament was a little different because Jesus Christ wasn't there. You know, he
That's
didn't.
correct.
In the New Testament is when he actually was on the earth and witnessing. Basically, he was witnessing the people.
Right.
So I would have to do some investigating on him being the word, which we can do that. It's no problem. I can't name it right offhand, but basically what I'm saying is that everything funneled through Jesus Christ, just like you would, as you say, as that secretary. Everything funnels through that secretary or your CEO or the next man in charge. Basically, everything funnels through him down to corporate. You know. And that's how you keep organization. And the Bible also talks about God is a God of organization. And that's what he is. He's an organized God. And things are set in a certain order.
Right.
Okay, now, Jesus Christ, it talks about Jesus Christ being the begotten Son.
Right.
The Bible also talks about God sending Jesus Christ down to die for mankind. Okay? Now, I was just looking at that scripture right there. Go ahead.
And because you remember, you heard the story of Adam and Eve, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't want to take a lot of your time up.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I want to hear this.
Okay, so you know how Adam and Eve were perfect, right?
Yeah, I guess in a sense. They
were perfect, right? And so
they're really imperfect. That's why they made a mistake. They have free will. As long as you have free will, you're not perfect. But go ahead.
Okay.
But I feel what you're saying. Go ahead. I'm on track with you, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, so if Adam and Eve were perfect until they ate from the tree in the middle of the garden.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, death and suffering came, right? And would you usually think that if someone's perfect, you need someone of equal, more like of an equal balance.
Right.
So, because you have a perfect person, and then everybody else is imperfect.
Right.
You need someone to balance the scale between and they said that Jesus is perfect.
Was the most perfect man. That's correct.
And you think if in order
Jesus
for you to
is also the second Adam also. But go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And so you think that if someone's perfect, you need someone of equal value.
Right.
And because if Jesus didn't die for us, then you don't have a hope or anything. So
why would Jesus have to die for me though?
Well, the reason why is because in order because Jesus died for us to have a hope of living forever on an earth that is like has no death and no suffering, and in order to balance that out, then you need to have something to balance that out to make that hope possible. And
did Sister Turner share John 3:16? I'm sure she did.
I know she didn't. So, but
pull up John 3:16.
Okay.
The most famous quote.
Oh, so you know it then.
Verse ever. Oh,
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it's that scripture right there explains a lot. It doesn't explain everything.
I guess the explanation is, okay, if this man was sent to die for my sins as a sacrificial lamb, so to speak, and some people believe this is God himself who died, you know, which is...
Because of the miracles, which I can understand. If you're not a student of the Bible, I can see people misunderstanding for him being God because of the miracles and things he did on earth.
God, he would cease to be God. There's no God man or man God. Once you become a man, you cease to become God. That's just like a short tall man.
But
You can't have a short tall man or a skinny fat man. You know, you cease to become God, and for you to be able to die,
It's not godly.
It's not godly
It's not
to be
godly.
able to die. And if Jesus died for my sins, I should be able to do whatever I want.
look,
You feel me?
my assures this the scripture, and it's
ahead.
going to be in and it's probably hopefully it'll be in a different light.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, even if you
Which one am I reading?
John
3:16. For God loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son, so that everyone exercising faith in him might not be destroyed, but have everlasting life.
And what do you think everlasting life is?
Everlasting life means the hereafter
Well,
and the afterlife. That's what everlasting means.
well,
Basically, in paradise.
okay. Let's. You said about the Bible teacher's book, right?
I got everything you got. Everything you gave me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go into that category. There should be a category on that. It should be 1 second.
That's my interpretation of it. Everlasting life, because how are you going to have everlasting life on earth?
Right here, Psalm 37:11. We'll get you to read that one also. 37:11.
But the meek will possess the earth, and they will find exquisite delight in the abundance of peace. Okay.
Alright,
And so I'm gonna give you. Is it okay if I give you a suggestion?
Sure.
If you read chapter 6, and when I come back,
You want to talk about where are the dead? Is that
it has a relevance in this hope, and
as far as everlasting life? Where are the dead?
because first you have to know what happen. First you have to know what happens when we die, and then after you get that standpoint, then things will be much clearer. It's
I
better
know.
to explain it clearer.
Yeah, I don't think the Bible really explains about what happens when you die, though. But based upon my study, it goes into detail about what happens when you die. Because a lot of Christians tend to believe that you go straight to heaven when you die, which completely eliminates revelation, which isn't true. Because how can you go straight to heaven when you die when there still has to be a day of judgment?
Well,
You see what I'm saying? So,
well, I'm gonna read chapter 6, and I'm suggesting if you can read chapter 6, so and we can explain more about it, and because some people rest in the car.
yeah, no problem.
yeah.
So,
What are y'all talking about when you come back? Because we can't jump all over.
that's true.
What are we talking about when we come back?
If I can get right here next week, I'm gonna see if my mom can drop me off. Right, well, give me right.
What are we talking about next time we come back?
Do you want to?
What are we talking about?
Okay.
This is your.
Oh,
I'm helping you.
Well,
here.
I'll come back. Sorry, I'm saying we. I'll come back and see how you, and we can talk about
what are we talking about?
what happens to us when we die.
Good topic.
That's going to be the topic.
That's
Very
the
good topic.
And I'm gonna read over it, so I'll be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
This is out there. I'll be prepared.
Yeah.
And so we can talk more about that. Sounds good?
That's definitely, most definitely.
Okay.
You guys have a blessed.
I would love to come with you if I get a chance.
Yes, sir.
Your name is John, right?
Yes, sir.